Welcome back to another episode of True to Your Roots, folks. I'm joined today by Jenny, and I won't say any more. I'll let her introduce herself and tell you a wee bit about her role within Lancaster CVS.
So I'm Jenny Reddell, and I'm the Community Health Officer at CVS in Lancaster. And my role comprises of finding things in the community that are good for people's health and wellbeing, advertising that via our directory of services, and then also taking social prescribing referrals from health professionals across our district to help match people up with that stuff that's happening in the community.
Sounds like quite a busy job indeed.
Yeah.
You touched on a topic that I know a lot of people don't really understand how that sort of job role works, and that's social prescribing. So up in the Bay, it's quite a rural area. So how does social prescribing work to support people, and what is the core sort of aspects of social prescribing?
So basically, social prescribing is helping people find things that will improve their health and wellbeing, and that exist usually in the community, but could be statutory services, could be private services. And basically, it's somebody else giving somebody an idea, a helping hand, a bit of a nudge towards going along to a thing, a group, an activity, a service. Could be an online thing, doesn't have to be in person necessarily. And across the Bay, I mean, Lancaster District CVS covers the Lancaster District, so that's Lancaster, Morecambe, Carnforth and the rural areas. We have a really flourishing community sector up there with hundreds of different organisations and activities and services from all different types of offers. And it's we're a well-connected community as well in terms of that kind of thing. So we have a lot of people who know a lot of things and can offer people really good ideas for how they can be supported.
Amazing. And what type of individual, would typically be involved or would look towards being supported by a social prescriber?
Well, it's everybody. So there's not really a sort of typical, but I suppose people that I get a quite number of are people I get quite a lot of people who are recently bereaved. So again, that can be all ages. So we do have older people who've lost a partner, but we also have younger people who've lost grandparents or parents or siblings or a partner as well. So quite a lot of bereavement. People find themselves lonely and isolated and not really wanting to burden their friends or other family. So they kind of find that coming to a social prescriber or a link worker is a really neutral way of kind of trying to get some help. I also get a lot of younger people, so early 20s, kind of again looking for, not really sure what to do for themselves. Looking, maybe haven't got many friends for various reasons, feeling a bit isolated. Looking for some support. Families, parents looking for help with their young people, with their kids. People who are in work who have found themselves just doing jobs that they don't like, and they want something nice to do outside of work. And again, it's a lot of loneliness and isolation. Yeah. A lot of people finding themselves on their own or not wanting to burden existing friends and family with what they think is a problem, what they see as a problem. And so they want to kind of ask someone else for help who's got the time to do that, who's got the time and energy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the people that we support within community roots or, would look to support are often, within that community-based setting, might not understand or know what's available to them to access. And there's that stigma around it that it's only mental health-based. It's well-being based as well, I take it. As, somebody that's social isolation, for example, that can lead to issues long-term with their mental health. But at the same time, it's that nice sort of support that's available to them. Like finding out what's available in Preston, for example. You've got this lovely little building and space to use, but also what community groups are available. You've got the Sahara in Preston, you've got the Haven, and a few other community-based buildings that, social prescribers work with us to support people to access. So it's nice to hear about how that's happening up in the Bay with it being so large. So community-based sector now in that voluntary aspect of it, how does that fit into your role?
Yeah, so that we've got this directory of services. It's a health and wellbeing website, but it's my job to kind of basically get things listed on that directory. So I go out and I meet different organisations. The criteria is got to be non-profit, so that's all grassroots community stuff and charities and organisations. But also statutory stuff. And I go out and meet the organisation, find out what they do, make sure they're a good service, and then put their information onto the directory and keep it updated in the ideal world. And we've got, like I said, we've got a really well-connected sector up there, really strong voluntary sector. CVS has been around for 51 years in the Lancaster district. There's also a Cumbria CVS as well, which we work closely with. And essentially, we have lots of network meetings where groups come together to try and share information about what they're doing and share ideas for how people can be supported properly. Lots of community centres, similar to places like here and the other places you mentioned in Preston. We've got different, one of the networking groups is the Green Spaces Forum, for example, and they are looking at, there's a lot of Friends of groups that are part of that Green Spaces Forum in Lancaster, and they are looking to how they can welcome people into their volunteering a bit more. They've got some concerns about social prescribing. They weren't sure about embracing it, and there was a bit of stigma to do with mental health. And it was kind of what we've been doing is trying to work with them to reassure them that it's about helping people discover something and then maybe get them through that first session. We're welcoming ear, a helping hand, potentially a phone call beforehand, just to ease some anxiety. Nothing more than that necessarily. So we're trying to sort of build that idea of helping people help themselves, but also that people do recognise that people do need a helping hand just to get through the door sometimes. It's really important.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're going through a form of anxiety, going into a group-based setting can be quite scary, really. I mean, I had social anxiety right the way through COVID, and then coming into work from that, being isolated, it's like, oh no, I'll get 2 buses. Completely just knocked me on my backside. So having that support from friends, for example, allowed me to just challenge that and feel a little bit more confident. I mean, one of my friends was on the bus with me for a couple of months from just coming into work, which was amazing, got me through that period. So having that ability to reach out to social prescribers, and I mean, even volunteers, we have volunteers here that act as, that support network for people is genuinely impactful in being able to support somebody's recovery long term and short term as well.
Yeah.
So how, with Lancaster being so large, how would people access that within the community if they were wanting to join some of these groups or even reach out through the directory? Where would they find that?
Yeah. So it's a really good point. And it's quite challenging. So at the moment, the way that people find me to help, if I'm doing my social prescribing role, is through the GP practices in Lancaster District, but also through the LSCFT. So we work with talking therapies and the community mental health teams and the older adults team. We also are starting to work with adult social care soon. And people can get a referral to me. I will then phone them up, arrange to meet with them in a place near to their home, and have a chat with them. And then I can suggest some things to go to. We also have a scheme run with Bay Volunteers, which is a volunteer organisation up in Lancaster, where we do community group buddies. Sounds a bit like what you were sort of talking about here. Basically, people helping people access a service or an activity for a few weeks just to get them over that hump. And then hopefully they'll start to go on their own and feel more confident, etc. So that's really brilliant. So yeah, that's one way through. Obviously, we've got like a very well-connected voluntary sector. So if anyone's going into their local community centre, they'll be able to know how to access my support and other social prescribers in the area. And they can also access the directory. We've got postcards and posters all around. And then if you go onto our website, Lancaster CVS, you'll also be able to access the directory through there. We've currently got a campaign running in Lancaster called Help is Close, which is a suicide awareness campaign, trying to reduce people's need to take their own lives.
Yeah.
And with that information, the campaign directs people towards the directory to try and help them find appropriate services, but also has the emergency information on there for people. So again, if you see the Help is Close campaign, it's a bright orange campaign. We've got posters and all sorts of things all around the district. Then you can access the directory that way as well. There's QR codes and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, being able to talk about the aspect of suicide prevention, a lot of people find it a rather difficult subject to breach. And I often find myself saying in sessions that it's usually easiest to talk to a stranger. So that's where having that CVS access or that directory can really support somebody through that challenging time. So it's nice to hear that is available to people. Now, being the digital guy here, I always like to talk about some form of accessibility. How would people access that if they can't access it digitally?
Yeah. So we have had number of people asking us whether we can get the directory as a paper format, and we just can't. There's just too much information on there. There's over 500 services on there, and it's growing every day, and it changes so much. It's it's hard to keep track of anyway. So what we sort of try and help get people to do is you can print from the directory. So somebody supporting somebody else, an organisation, a community centre, family member, a friend can print information from each page with information on there. We can use the libraries in our area and other community centres. You can come into the CVS office. There's lots of community hubs in Lancaster district where you can kind of go in and borrow a computer for a bit of time. There's a brilliant service that Age UK run, which is Digital Access, where they can help people get online. And there's also Bay volunteers do that in our area as well.
Nice.
So they can, Age UK can give technology, they can give iPads and that kind of stuff. But also just somebody going around to somebody's house and helping them and getting them to see the benefits. I was talking to the lady that runs it for Age UK, and she told me that she was with a guy that was I think he was in his 90s, quite reluctant to sort of try and get into the digital world. But I think he needed to book an appointment, or the doctors or something needed to do it. So she said one of the things that she was encouraging him to do was he was quite lonely and isolated, quite bored at home. So she said, what about watching old videos of, I think it was cricket, something like that? And he was like, oh, whatever. And then she got YouTube on his iPad, subscribed to this cricket channel, and then downloaded a load of videos, and he was able to watch them. And he was like, oh, actually, this is quite good. And sort of got the reason. There was a bit of a reason for him using the iPad at that point, and then sort of became a bit more interested in trying to find what else it could do. So I think that, we are in a world where this is technology is the thing. You can't get away from that. And it's about trying to help people embrace it. And also, I think one of the things about the directory that's really brilliant is that there's a contact form on the directory with an email address, and that comes straight through to me. Amazing. So somebody that is struggling, can't use it, thinks something's wrong, can't find something, they can easily contact me on that email and just say to me, Jen, there's a problem, I can't use it, can you help? And I will try my best to help.
Pop a QR code on the screen somewhere around here. You'll see it as it pops up with the magic of editing. Give that a scan. It'll take you directly to the directory, so you can have a wee nosy at what's available on there and find out a wee bit more information yourself. And the last question for you now, Jen, and it's completely off topic. How was the drive here today? Because you have come quite the distance to reach us. So how was that, with it being nice outside for a change? We're moving more into the springtime now. So
it was nice, actually. It's quite nice to come south. I used to work down at the Wildlife Trust in Brockholes, so I used to do a lot of commuting down here. And it was quite nice coming and doing the usual journey that I haven't done for a very long time. I'm glad I don't have to do it every day anymore. But no, it's all right. And it's nice to see the sun shining.
Yeah, I mean, we are coming into the nicer time of the year, but I prefer the cold. I do like I like the wind, my rain, and my snow. It reminds me of home. So it makes me nice and happy when it's reminding me of Scotland. I can see that sort of stuff. But have you got any questions for us, Jen?
I don't think so.
Amazing stuff. It means we've done a good job. So that's a little bit about the Lancaster CVS, ladies and gentlemen. So there'll be a few extra bits happening outside of the spoken podcast. You'll see some activities that will be happening up in Lancaster over the next couple of weeks to months. So if you would like to find out more about those, like I said before, have a look at the directory for that information. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to Jenny directly, and she'll be more than happy to support you to access those groups or even find out a few bits and bobs that are local to yourself. So have a good day. Thank you for watching, and peace.